This video starts off with a massive thank you to the people who have my back, supporting me and enabling me to continue making content and doing what I love. I would be nothing without you guys. In today's video, we will be going over the 7th stage of Dragonstar Arena. Hope you guys enjoy. Greetings, Gilliam the Rogue here once again with another Threats of Tamriel segment. In today's episode, we'll be going over stage number 7 of Dragonstar Arena. This time dealing with lots and lots of Daedra. In terms of environmental hazards, there aren't going to be any red circles on the ground from the environment itself. Instead, we'll be interacting with something called sacrifices. There'll be 3 kinds of sacrifices. We'll take a look at them in the creature segment, as well as what happens when you fail to do their mechanic. But what happens is in the 3 cardinal directions, west, north, and east, where we see these altars, there will occasionally be sacrifices that spawn from portals. They'll be extremely slow moving, so you have plenty of time to kill them. But what happens is if they reach one of these altars, they'll sacrifice themselves to the Daedra that we are dealing with, and then turn into one of many Daedra. Now, depending on what type of sacrifice, again, there will be 3 tiers. They will turn into much more increasingly dangerous Daedra. And again, we'll see what happens when each one reaches an altar in terms of comparing their before and after transformation. Most of the time, they're not too dangerous. However, the very high health ones can be extremely detrimental to our success, especially when there's lots and lots of adds going on. Other than that, there are no environmental hazards from the stage itself, rather lots and lots of red from enemies that we'll be dealing with. There's going to be tons of fire and lightning and bad stuff happening from the mobs we'll be fighting, but again, the only environmental hazard is going to be those sacrifices coming to these altars or whatever. So just kill them before they can reach there and all of your problems will go away. I highly suggest having 2 DPS take one side, so 1 DPS take west, 1 DPS take east, and then both of them work together to take care of north. This is especially helpful if you have ranged options, so if you're a stand build, a couple poison injections, or an arrow barrage, and then if you're a magic build, just using heavy attacks or whatever spammable you have from afar. Very easy, very straightforward, and we'll see what happens when they spawn in the gameplay footage. But now let's go over the creature segment and then go into gameplay. The first baddie we have is the first tier of the Daedric Sacrifice. These guys have very little health. They're very easy to kill. What they're going to do is they're going to beeline straight to their sacrifice altar, and if they reach it, they will become into these 2 little summon scamps. They're going to do little flame lines that you can bash. They're going to do very low damage. They're not really a big threat. They're just going to clutter the battlefield, so it's 2 more bodies to kill, so look out for them, kill them. Next, we have the Tier 2 of the Daedric Sacrifice. These guys have a little bit more health. They're going to move the same speed as the first one, though. And what's going to happen is if they reach their portal without being killed, then they're going to turn into a Harvester, which we see here. These guys are extremely dangerous in some situations because they'll pull one person up, which will ignore block and stun them, and then drain their life. They'll summon orbs, break them, and then they'll also do Black Winter, which is a bashable attack. Next is the final tier of the Daedric Sacrifice. These guys have a lot of health, so if you're not really up to par with DPS and burning stuff, make sure both of your DPS work together to take it down. If they reach it, they will become an Ash Titan, and Ash Titans are extremely dangerous. They do crazy high damage with just their basic attack, so a tank has to taunt them. You can't reflect these attacks, so run wings or reflective posture, whatever. They're also going to have a bashable attack that if you don't bash, you're going to get one shot. So look out for that. Next, we have a Kindvald. These guys are just like basic little DKs. They're going to do a couple attacks. One is a basic attack. Next is a charge, which we see here. And then the final one is a heavy attack, which is Lava Whip, which we can see right here. He's doing his attack, just blocking. You can dodge roll both or block both the charge or the heavy attack. Next is a Fearkin. These guys do lots of nasty attacks. One, they'll enter stealth, stun everyone by them, go back and then start casting a fear ability. This can be bashed. You can't bash the stun attack. You'll have to AoE them out. They'll also do a hard cast of fear, and then their basic attacks will do extremely high damage. Focus them before they become a problem. Next is a kind Gald. These guys are also Dragonites, but like casters. They have a Flames of Oblivion, which is the original one from the game, which is this big red AoE circle. Anytime you enter it, you'll take high flame damage. You get stronger. He'll also do a heavy attack that'll shoot out fire. Just bash it or move out of it. It does high damage. Next is a Daedroth. These guys are very beefy and brutal. Their heavy attacks do lots of damage. They have a bite, which instantly does about 30 or 40% of your health if you're not blocking, and then the fire attack. So block, dodge, move out of red. Easy stuff. Next is a basic Caitiff. There are two versions of these guys. One is dual wielders. They'll be like Nightblades. That means they'll have Agony. They'll have Cloak, which they'll try and heavy attack. You can bash Agony. You can block the heavy attack. Basic stuff. Next is the two-hander version. It's going to be just like, you guessed it, a two-hander. They're only going to have one big mechanic, and that's Wrecking Blow. So it'll be like a heavy attack. They'll wind up their attack. If they hit you and you're not blocking or dodging, you'll be knocked up. Does a lot of damage. Look out. Next is a basic Banekin. These guys are really nothing to worry about. They just have one attack, which is a bashable lightning AoE. It's very small. Just move out of it or bash it or just nuke them. They're extremely easy. Next is a Clanfear. These guys, again, very basic enemies. They have two attacks. One is the charge, which we see here, and another is a tail swipe, which will be a AoE. Both can be blocked or dodged. Don't stand in it. You'll get stunned with either of them. Next is a Spider Daedra. These guys have quite a few mechanics. She'll also spawn a smaller version of herself, which does the same thing as her. She has a bashable lightning attack. Move out of it or bash it. She'll also shoot out webs that snare you. Don't stand in those. Really basic stuff. Kind of focus her as a priority. Next, we have the first boss, the Dark Mage. Her first mechanic is Daedric Mines. Don't touch him. If you do, you'll take high damage and be immobilized. Just avoid him. Next is Dark Conversion. She'll try and heal with this. Bash it immediately. Don't let her get this off. She'll also hardcast frags, bash or dodge roll, laugh as she hardcasts it like a noob, and look out for that. She'll also do encase. It'll snare you, dodge roll, that's the only thing, and then negate, which will silence you, deal high damage, move out of it. Next is the Dark Knight, and this guy is a pain in the ass. His first attack is what we see here, a bashable ability. What it does is if he lands it, it will blind everyone in front of him and your screen will go white. You won't be able to see. You'll have to CC break. He'll also do Total Dark or Eclipse, which means any projectiles you cast will hit you. So don't cast when you have that. You can CC break it off. He'll have a Nova, which will do extremely high damage, make him take less damage, move out of it. I suggest focusing the Mage first and then the Knight, but we'll see that in the gameplay footage. And here we are with that. This, again, is the same crew. Delty on his tank. I'm on my Magicka Nightblade. My girlfriend on a Templar Healer. And Joy on a Magicka Caster Dragonite. So, as usual, we're all going to move to the north part. You'll notice that some of us are kind of gravitating between north and east. That's because the most amount of adds are going to kind of congregate here. Some are going to spawn in the arc direction, so like northeast, northwest, stuff like that. So it's not going to just be the 4 cardinal. You'll have to look out for that. And there's going to be a lot of adds, a lot of red, but let's look. So here we have the first thing. Deltia chains it, we nuke it down, and then Deltia is just getting everything to us and then starting to talons. There's the first sacrifice on north. Very low health, you see, it just dies in a few attacks, and then we go back to what we're doing. Again, just dealing with lots of stuff. Now it's my turn. I took care of west. Again, try and have 2 DPS take care of 1 west, 1 east. Both work on north. So they're going to spawn every wave or every other wave. Just constantly be thinking, is there a sacrifice? Do I need to go check? And then work together. If you need help, call out. But the beginning rounds of this, not too much going on, just a lot of AoE. Deltia doing a great job talonsing after he's chaining stuff to us and then allowing other stuff to walk in. The biggest things to worry about are the heavy armor wearers such as Caitiffs or Kindvalds, because these guys do high damage. They'll do bashes or heavy attacks, so try and taunt those as a tank. Here we have the Spider Daedra and a little sacrifice. There you kind of saw for a brief moment the little version of her. The little version is really easy. She'll die if the main one dies, so don't worry about her. Just nuke the Spider Daedra and then kill everything else. The other really nice thing about Talons is not only does it lock it in place, but Delty is also using Choking Talons, so it's applying Maim on everything, so it does less damage, which is really helpful here because there's a lot of AoE damage going on. And you notice there's just tons of adds here. This is when DSA starts to get really, really hard because there are so many things that if they line up properly and you're not paying attention, you will be killed. So be careful, run shields, block, don't play in first person. There's too much going on for that to happen. So again, easy stuff for the most part when we are controlling the battlefield. If we lose control, shit goes to the fan. A Daedroth going to spawn. Deltia knows that, so he taunts him right away so he doesn't fuck me up. I kill the summoner or the sacrifice, and then we go into AoEing everything. We're also going to get 2 more spawns soon from the north. One of them will be a DK. We're going to have to focus him too, although be careful, Dragon Knights, the Kindvalds, sorry. They do have wings, which will reflect projectiles, so you'll have to watch them. I forgot to mention that in the creature segment. Anytime you're fighting the sword and board guys, watch out if they cast wings. So if you're an archer or a caster like me, you will kill yourself if you're not careful. There we saw how high damage that the Spider Daedra can do. Again, that's why they need to be focused, which is what I mentioned earlier. There's the little one again. We're just going to kill the big one, and then she'll disappear too. Very easy stuff. Not letting any of these sacrifices go through, so we're not having any big issues. Time for the 4th round. This is going to be a lot of stuff again. We're going to get a big sacrifice to the north that needs to be killed immediately. That's why I'm going to drop a Destro ulti, because if he reaches, he becomes an Ash Titan, and that will probably kill at least one person. There, I dodged the fire line by pure luck. Deltia called it out, and I wasn't really paying attention. Almost got fucked up there. Luckily didn't. And then just AoEing everything down. Kind of playing it safe, skirting around the edge instead of getting in the thick of things because you saw all that red. And that will kill you, especially if you're a vampire, because most of this is flame damage. So cure your vampirism before coming in here. Here we have a sacrifice. I dodge roll the heavy attack as I close the distance, and then we go into AoE. See how high that damage is. Someone almost died because they were just sitting in red. Very, very spooky stuff on this. Here we have another sacrifice, so I quick beeline over there to take care of him before he reaches. Execute. Easy, easy stuff. Now back to killing the rest. And then we're going to be moving on to the boss round. Bash that agony so no one gets snared or stunned. Okay, so in here, this is going to be really worrisome. We're going to have to move around. There are going to be sacrifices spawning, so we will have to kill those too. Otherwise, we'll be overwhelmed. But we're going to focus the mage first, and Delty is going to kind of kite the knight. Kill the... I'm not worrying about the sacrifice because we both dropped ultimates. Now I'm going to go kill the one to the west. Joy is going to get east. And then we're going to go back to work on killing the bosses. Again, we're focusing the mage first. There's the Nova and the Negate. You notice how close they are together, so you can be hit by both. There we bashed the blind attack. We can't close the distance to the mage yet just because he's casting stuff, and there was the Nova. Now we move in. There was the Dark Conversion. Basher, basher, basher. Because she will heal extremely quickly. There was another mechanic I failed to mention. It's just like a little void sphere. She'll shoot up into the air, and then it'll crash into the ground. You can bash it. It's really, really easy. You've seen it a few times in the other earlier rounds. Here we have a banner drop because we're getting more sacrifices. I'm going to go take care of West. Here we have another big one, so I'm going to place my cripple on it instead of just weaving Force Pulse. So just sitting here from afar, not really worrying, just killing him before he can reach that. And you'll see how slow they move, so you have plenty of time. And remember to call out if you need help. Here we have a Daedroth spawning and a few other little guys, so I'm going to Destra ulti, and then it gets negated. So be careful. You can have your stuff negated. There was a mechanic that we forgot to bash from the boss. Here it is again. Need to bash it. There it is. It looks exactly like Purifying Light, but it's just a blind mechanic. if it does go off and you don't bash it, it will explode similarly to Purifying Light, but it won't kill you. And you can block it. There it goes off again. Delty is blinded. He's like, help me, I can't see anything. And then we go back into killing stuff. Make sure that we get these sacrifices. The nice thing is, if you're killing bosses fast enough, sacrifices are not considered tethered to the round. So if you kill the final boss, then the sacrifices will disappear, even if they've become their secondary monster or Daedra. But for most groups, that's not going to be a thing. Like here, I noticed, okay, we could have burned the boss, but I wanted to play it safe and kill the sacrifices instead, because I didn't want to get overwhelmed, because this boss does a lot of damage. He's got Novas, he can blind the tank, he's got heavy attacks, he's just a real pain in the ass. There's the Nova, we all immediately move out. I'm not even standing in it for a second, I had damage shields and I'm already taking damage. So look out. But other than that, pretty simple stuff. Don't stand in red. Make sure you grab your chest. Talk to the imp if you need to repair. And then we're going to stage 8. See you there. If you've liked the content in this video, consider pledging at my Patreon. The community's interest and support keep me inspired and drive me to continue improving and giving back. Thanks to all my patrons who've already shown their dedication. I truly appreciate it. If you have feedback, drop a comment, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.